The quiet rise of Palantir, why its influence is growing and why critics are worried. Google Gemini's AI gets personal, and why chatbots can't really explain their own mistakes. A lesson from the Grok story this week. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. It's a company that most people might have heard of, but have no idea what it does. The NASDAQ published an analysis noting that this company, Palantir, has come out of nowhere to become the 19th largest public company in the U.S., with its stock up over 2,800% since early 2023. And it's got everybody asking, who are these guys and what do they do? It's a data company, but it doesn't scrape your data, sell it, or run a giant master database. Instead, it takes the information an organization already has, often scattered around across incompatible systems, and it makes it usable in real time. Its two main products are called Foundry, used by corporations to manage everything from supply chains to AI models, and Gotham, which is used by governments and law enforcement to link people, events, and locations within minutes. They have a third platform, Apollo, which handles large-scale software updates across cloud and on-premises systems. It's this ability to quickly turn messy data into an operational tool that has made Palantir indispensable to clients like the U.S. Department of Defense, intelligence agencies, and even major corporations. And it's also helped drive massive growth. Revenue is up nearly 50% year over year, and its stock has more than doubled in 2025. It has signed huge contracts with the Department of Defense and others. But it's also setting off alarm bells. Why? Well, those same capabilities, so useful in government hands, could easily be misused. Gotham could be used for surveillance, immigration enforcement, and policing, areas where mistakes or biases in the data could have real-world consequences. Critics warn that the technology's power, combined with its opaque operations, make it hard to hold it accountable. In short, Palantir's influence comes from its ability to modernize legacy systems without replacing them, but the concern is what happens when that speed and power are applied in the shadows. And before you rush out to buy stock, The Economist has described Palantir as possibly the most overvalued firm ever, given its market value and its rapid rise this year. But despite that, it certainly is a company to watch. Google's Gemini is getting smarter with your personal data. The new personal context feature means Gemini can now remember details from past chats. So if you once told it you were planning a trip to Tokyo in October, don't be surprised if it later suggests packing tips or translating Japanese phrases without you having to repeat yourself. And this feature is enabled by default in select countries. Now, don't be fooled by the fact that I called this Gemini 2.5 Pro. From recent reports, Google is planning on rolling this out to both paid and free users. The reason it's being rolled out to select countries, presumably, is that Google anticipates some issues from countries like those in the EU that have stricter privacy laws. Now, it's not that they haven't thought about privacy. For quick private queries, they've got something called temporary chat. Ask about something sensitive, say medical symptoms or a work dispute, and the conversation won't appear in your history, it won't train Gemini, and it will be deleted in about 72 hours. And to alleviate concerns about those who don't want the data to train Google's model, Google is also renaming its Gemini app's activity setting. If you turn it on, a sample of future uploads like documents or photos may be used to improve Google services. But if you turn it off, that pipeline closes. These tools make Gemini more intuitive and more proactive, and they have a real function in terms of user experience. You don't want to have a conversation with an entity like an AI, have to constantly remind it of things that you mentioned yesterday, and it can use this data not only to serve the current conversation, but to fine-tune its responses now and in the future. But that also raises some privacy concerns. Past updates have already caused confusion over what data Gemini can still access, like, for instance, WhatsApp message previews, even when activity tracking was off. That makes reliable controls more important than ever. It's not the first AI software to have memory incorporated into it. ChatGPT has a similar feature. It will remember you as well as many activities, and like Google, you can shut it off. So now both Gemini and OpenAI have these faculties. And if you're curious about what data they know about you, you can check. You have to proactively find it. In Gemini, you look under personal context. With ChatGPT, you can just simply ask what it knows about you. This memory feature is powerful and ultimately humanizes the AI model. As I mentioned, it's frustrating to have a conversation with someone who doesn't remember what you talked about yesterday. And it can be used very effectively in the future to allow the AI to find products, services, and experiences for you. But conversely, it doesn't take a major leap to think what the value of that data is going to be to those who want to sell you something. And surprisingly, both the Gemini and the OpenAI announcements have gotten relatively little attention. Compare that to the furor over Microsoft's recall feature. Do you remember that? Sorry, no pun intended. Microsoft's recall feature knew everything that you did on your computer using a Microsoft operating system, and the introduction of that caused a firestorm. So why is AI getting such an easy ride on this? And when Mark Zuckerberg's AI starts doing the same thing on Facebook, Instagram, and other social applications, will there be a public reaction? Maybe, maybe not. Given how much data we've already turned over to Meta and others, there may not be any issues until the first major privacy breach shines a new light on it. And given the relative weakness of AI security, it's likely just a matter of time before you read about someone who's been able to convince an AI to give up information about one or more people. But even worse might be someone finding a way to use it and you never find out about it. And as I've said, I'm very surprised this isn't generating a huge controversy yet. When Grok, xAI's chatbot, was briefly suspended from X, that was a big news story. But something else happened when users asked Grok why it had been suspended. It turns out it gave multiple conflicting explanations, some political, some technical, possibly none of them accurate. And this became a real mystery. Was Grok hiding something? Was this another malfunction? And the answer to that is no, not really. When something goes wrong with an AI assistant, it's quite natural for us to ask, what happened? Why did you do that? And I've heard people say this, and it works with people. But with AI, it often leads to an answer that may sound confident, may make total sense, but might also turn out to be completely wrong. We've seen this behavior in other instances recently. When the development coding company Replit's AI coding tool deleted a production database, it told the users a rollback was impossible and all versions were gone. And in reality, when Replit stepped in, they were able to recover all the data. How does this happen? Well, the problem starts with a misunderstanding of what these systems are. We're starting to personify them, and that may be a good thing, but they're not a single self-aware entity. You're interacting with what is an incredibly big, incredibly powerful statistical text generator that predicts the most likely words based on its training and any live data it's allowed to retrieve. There's no consistent Grok or Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini. There's just a model, and that model generates plausible answers on the fly. Even the people who build these systems don't fully know how a model produces a specific answer. And the model itself has no access to an internal record of its thought processes, no real view of its own capabilities, and sometimes no awareness of the larger system around it. If there are other layers, moderation filters, search tools, external APIs, the model can possibly see what they do. But most of the time, it's like asking one department in a company to explain decisions made in another department where the two have never met. Add in human psychology, and it gets worse. If you ask an AI, did you just destroy everything? You've set the stage for a response that's going to match your question and your fear, because the model is optimizing for a plausible, context-fitting explanation, not the truth. Researchers have shown that without external feedback, attempts at AI self-correction often make things worse. Models will confidently declare something impossible when it's not, or promise success in areas where they routinely fail. Now, the good news is that this doesn't affect most day-to-day use. And when you take basic precautions, like asking an AI to check its own work, validate claims against reliable sources, or even have a second AI model fact-check for you, accuracy improves significantly. These habits turn an AI from a single storyteller into part of a cross-checking process, making it much more reliable. But in casual use, asking for recipes, summaries, having a conversation, asking regular questions, treating an AI like a person works fine. It's even a good idea. But when something breaks, remember, the why it gives you isn't coming from a log entry. It isn't coming from a confession. It's just another generated story. And the more critical the context, whether in coding, medicine, or law, the more important it is at these times to verify before you trust. And that's our show. If you like what we're doing, please share the show with others. Give us a like or a comment on your favorite podcast app or site. We are found everywhere: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and more. We are back on your Alexa speakers, and today I heard #trending on my Google speaker for the first time in weeks. We love to hear from you. You can reach me at technewsday.ca or technewsday.com. Just go to the Contact Us page, and while you're there, if you'd like to support what we're doing, and believe me, fixing some of these tech problems costs a small fortune, please go to the Donate tab and consider contributing the cost of a cup of coffee a month to support the show. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just leave a comment under the video, but your contributions would be gratefully accepted as well. And one final thing, if you're interested in a deeper dive into some of the AI topics we talked about today and more, check us out this weekend when Project Synapse with me, Marcel Gagné, and John Pinard talk about AI from the past week. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a fabulous Friday.